back on. Thank you, everybody, for waiting.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Cohen, I think what we need to do is to find out exactly what went on as far as the involvement of the building department in this matter. Based on that, we can take a look and see what legally can be done. I would like to table these requests of yours until the next meeting so we can look into it further and get the proper answer to the board. So we can do what is right for you and obviously what is right for the village.
Okay, no problem. I appreciate it and everything because like, you know, anything that I pay in front and you can just like refund that it's not necessary. I understand the fees that like you know, the board already like, you know, was involved and working for that and the fee that like I have to pay, but if it's not necessary fee that I pay in advance, if it's, you know, can be refunded.
We have to do what is lawful and we will look into it and find out what can be done and we'll definitely try to help you out with it.
Okay,
as far as the law allows us, okay?
I know. Usually it's like, you know, it's by the law, but you know, nobody except like this COVID to come and nobody was like prepared for that. And this is unusual thing that nobody like know that it came from nowhere for all of us. So
Right.
unfortunately.
We will look into it and we'll try to do what we can in order to help you, okay?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Take care. Enjoy your food.
Thank
you. Take care.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a request for road opening from 140 Station Road.
I don't know how to, I'm logging out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You can log out.
I will try. I'm old school. I'm just like trying.
You just have to press it. It says leave and then just let's say leave them.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and have a good night. Thanks a lot.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is request for road opening for 140 Station Road. Louis, would you like to give some background on this?
Yeah, it looks like they want to connect the sewer from a house that is in Kings Point and come through our roadway, which is Northgate, and connect the line up. And I wasn't willing to make that decision, so that's why it's in front of you.
Northgate is a paper road, correct?
No, this is the actual roadway.
Oh wait. Oh, okay. I see. It's in Minnesota Fairview. Got it. Okay.
Okay, so Northgate is our road.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't go through Station Road and connect it over there, or to the county part of Fairview Avenue. Why it has to come through our road?
Is anybody representing the this application?
Sewer district.
This is Pat Harper from Control Central Inc. I'm the permit expediter.
Okay. Can you
The
answer?
reason
Go ahead.
The reason for that is all of the engineering and engineering approval was through D&B Engineering for the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District. And that is their nearest connection was North. So there's been 2 years worth of engineering put into this.
Can you mute everybody?
Jack. The other name Jill. Why
Oh,
Jack?
good.
Hey, Jill. Come back, Jack.
All right,
Come
one
back, Jill.
second. I am going to mute.
Oh, no, the blackbirds are flying away. Goodbye.
All right, Pat, I know you were talking here, so you could unmute yourself. And the board members, you could unmute yourself as well.
So yeah, there's been 2 years of engineering that's gone into this. We have Terry Gallagher is the contractor involved. This is a low pressure grinder system that's going into the residency. And we just need permission to connect to the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District to, I guess, where their recommendation was. So we did not realize in this project that that was crossing out of the Kings Point jurisdiction into the village of Great Neck. But it is just for small road opening. There's not a big sanitary well involved. This is 2.5 inch low pressure pipe.
Could you bring the map again? I want to know which house is it? That's the one? So
Yep.
we go, okay, so we're going to that point, the white dot, and then from there go all the way down. So we have to open the road all the way, correct? On North Gate,
No, it's an 8x8 opening, Mayor.
No,
just an 8x8?
It's an
Do we
8x8
have-
opening.
correct.
No, because you said that you have to go all the way to Fairview. Is there a sewer going all the way in that direction?
Yeah, it's already there for Northgate.
Well, they're looking for their cheapest way, which is to come into our roadway. But they can go into maybe Station Road. I don't know if there's a sewer line there. Certainly there's one on Fairview Avenue. I don't know if you probably can't
My-
cross the other property.
No, they can't cross the
Louis,
private road.
is there a sewer line on North Gate?
There is a sewer line on Northgate. That's
There
what they
is one.
tap
Okay.
into.
No, I thought that they have to go from there all the way to Fairview.
No.
No, their house is on Northgate.
I know.
They'll be coming through their backyard out onto Northgate to connect to the sewer line on Northgate
Hmm.
with an 8x8 opening in the street.
Okay. Is this a newly paved street?
It's fairly new, yep.
Where do the neighboring houses that are Kings Point houses go for their sewer lines? In other words,
Sump pump.
It's cesspools.
so why aren't they doing the same?
Well, that's why we're here.
Uh-huh. I mean, why, I guess it seems to me they're going for an
Do it for
exception.
one. Once you do it for one, then you kind of set.
Well,
the
yeah,
precedent.
right. So because it looks like
The
there are
village-
two other,
Village of Great Neck is getting nothing out of this but their road dug up.
right.
We're not collecting any sewer tax. We're not getting anything, nothing in return.
Uh-huh.
So this is the Kings Point house wants to tap into our sewer line?
It's not
Correct.
our
Right on
sewer
our
line.
road.
It's really this, no, the sewer line is not ours. The street is ours.
But it's a Kings Point house?
Yes.
And by the general rule of thumb, it sounds like Kings Point homes have cesspools.
Right.
So it sounds to me like they don't want to put in their cesspool, so they want to use our,
Our road to get to the sewer line.
and we're not getting any benefit from this.
Well, the way the thing came across to me was, oh, this is a rush. And it's not a rush to me because I don't have to open the road at all.
Right.
And of course, Kings Point says it's okay. Of course, the sanitary district says it's okay, but it's up to the mayor and the board here to decide if it's okay.
So Louis,
Um,
the sewer district did approve this?
They approved it, yeah.
Good, because they're going to make money from it.
They approved it before they even sent it to me. Or anybody sent it to me. And then what happened is, in the intern of things, it turned out that they wanted a road opening permit and realized that, oh no, that's Great Neck's roadway.
So the sewer district benefits, so that's why they were all gung ho and we're not.
So I think I'm not going to ask for an advice of counsel at this time, just because of the sake of time, but this is something that I would like to discuss and possibly put a suggestion on the next time agenda to find out if this is going to be a common occurrence, that other villages, other houses want to do the same thing. I believe that listen, it's good for them. I don't have any issues with helping out a neighbor who would like to not use a cesspool and just connect to the shoreline. But I think there should be something that the village gets in order to properly maintain the road. And we all know that when you do an 8x8 cutout or any other cutout in a road that was newly paved, it will never look the same. And I think there must be a fund that is created in order to be able to redo some of these roads possibly quicker. From the way I look at this location, North Gate, there may be other houses that may want to do that. So maybe we just table this if the board agrees, have a discussion to see what we can do in order to make it a fair game in a way so that everybody, no one's going to get hurt, I should say. We're not trying to obviously deflect this. I'm not trying to deflect it, but I do believe that it's we need to look into it a little bit more in depth and find out what we can do so the village doesn't get hurt. So if the board is okay, if I may suggest to put this, also table this agenda, discuss it further and just possibly get it done in the next meeting we have in 2 weeks.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Annie, Steve, Mr. Namdar.
Okay with me.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay. So let's move on to the next item, please.
Okay.
So would that, I'm sorry, would that get tabled until September 1st?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Chairman, any-
Hello.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is we had a request again from the resident of 444 Middle Neck Road to eliminate or increase the time parking along Middle Neck Road. Currently, there is a 2-hour parking limit from 7 to 7, and there is overnight parking allowed at this location. Abraham, if you're still there,
Right.
comments? Okay.
If you're right, Mayor, if you remember, this came up a few months ago. I believe it was in February, or I'm sorry, in January or December of last year. There's a 7 to 7. I'm not sure if it's I believe it's a 90 minutes parking actually, or actually 2 hours.
7
Parking.
a.m. to 7 p.m.
All of Middle Neck Road is 90 minutes. You change it
Okay.
over, maybe the only spot that it'll be different.
Right. So in front of 444, there is, as Louis mentioned, is a 90 minutes parking from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. A little further down, when you pass Old Mid Road in front of Millbrook apartment, for example, or across the street in front of 68 Woolies Lane, there is no time parking except for on one side of the street, Mondays, they can't park from 6 to 9 in the morning, and the other side on Fridays. So the gentleman is arguing that it should be the same in front of the building that he lives in. I've had this discussion with him that, you know, the problem with the parking there is there's not enough parking spots that are offered by the apartment complex. And that's basically that's the issue that he has to deal with it. However, he's persisting that it's something that the board might want to consider. Across the street from there, there is a business district. It's a commercial district. It's not a residential. While in front of a Millbrook Court and across the street on Woolies Lane, those are
Resident.
residential. So that might be the reason that there is no time limit on parking in front of.
The road is also wider.
Also, the street is wider. Okay. So I'm not sure. I remember last time you asked how many hours he has to park. So if someone parks at 5 o'clock in the evening, they can keep the car up to the next morning, 9 o'clock. And that was the reason that it was, you know, the applicant or the resident was advised to find other ways to park their car, but they just requested again to this matter to be brought up.
Any comments from the board?
So he'd like to make it 4-hour parking? What would you like? No, I know like no restriction. But what's
What the resident would probably, he wants to know for his own benefit, he probably wants no restriction, just like it is in front of, you know, after Old Mill Road in front of Millbrook. Or,
I think that
It's a commercial area.
yeah,
correct.
if you make that change there, you're going to be doing it at Beach Road. You're going to be doing it in front of the Academy Apartments and every other place that you have an apartment building. I don't think it's a good idea. That's for my opinion.
I agree.
Well, also, if someone visits, if there's a visitor during the day and all the spots are taken by people who want to similarly park for a long time, they won't have a place to park.
Right. Well, besides the fact that there is a municipal parking lot right across the street.
Right.
And they
But I don't know. I think as we said it before, unless someone has a compelling reason that we need to change. I mean, we discussed this before, I think a few months back. We came to the same conclusion as I believe that we're coming today. There are some, from what I remember, some park spots that are available on the municipal parking lot that can be rented. And if the gentleman or the lady would like to, can definitely get to discuss it with Brian or Karen in order to get these permits. But I don't think that we should keep changing these signages in different areas. So if the board is okay with moving on, and unless someone has a compelling reason to change it, I think we're just going to keep it the way it is.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Next
Okay.
item.
Next item we have is a proposed amnesty program for 2020. Abraham, again, if you would like to discuss. Abraham, you there?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Just one moment. Let me get back. Okay.
That's okay.
So as I mentioned about a month ago in the previous meeting that we had, there are about 3,500 tickets that are outstanding for the people that have received the tickets and they never take care of their obligations to pay. These tickets remains unpaid unless they have to change their registration, or once they return their plate, unfortunately, there is no way of getting it back. Some people they just forget about it. They don't remember that they have to pay it, although our vendor sends out periodically reminders that there's still outstanding tickets that have to be paid. If the board wishes to pass this resolution with the approval of the court, they can set a time. It could be 45 days, it could be 30 days, it could be longer, and give a percentage of what's outstanding as an amnesty program, under amnesty program, as a percentage off. It will offer the person who received the ticket to come back and pay for it with, for the lack of better word, like a discount. So if the ticket was $100, and the board decides on, let's say, 50% amnesty program, they can pay only $50 rather than $100. Per my discussion with our vendor, it has been implemented in other villages. They had a good turnout for people who will take advantage of it. What the board should consider is the amount of the time that they would like this amnesty program to run, and the percentage of the amnesty program that they would like to offer. The suggestion is it should run from Monday, September 14th through the end of October 31st. And the suggested amount of amnesty program would be 50%. In the program that we ran as well in 2015, it was a 50% as well.
If there are no discussions on this, I would like to move this amnesty program to be adopted.
Move it. With the times and the percentage as mentioned by the clerk treasurer.
Right, so it's going to be 50% for 6 weeks. And we're going to post it. And we're going to post it as we have to legally.
Right. And
there is a second resolution that the board might want to consider, and that is, I forgot to mention this. This is for any tickets that was issued prior to January 31st, 2020. If the board wishes to pass a second resolution for any tickets that was issued from February 1st of 2020 through just maybe the end of August or end of July, and that resolution will give the amnesty program not based on the percentage, rather it will roll back the amount of fine to the original amount. So for example, if somebody got a $50 ticket and it was doubled to $100, the second amnesty program that if you would like to offer as a second resolution, it will give the chance to the recipient to pay the original amount of the fine, even though by the time that they come to pay, it has been doubled or tripled. That's something that if the board would like to discuss, of course, this would be by the, it has to be approved by the court as well.
subject to approval by the court, I'll move it for tickets issued through the end of July.
Take it. Okay.
Because people who got tickets in August still have time to pay, and they'll have notice going forward that their fines are going to start going up if they don't pay. I mean, so did the people beforehand, but as an accommodation for the what's going on in the world, I think we can do it through July.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Peter or Brian?
Me? I'm good with it, but the board needs to approve it.
Bart, I didn't catch everything you said. It was a little unclear. I'm sorry.
I said I would move it through the end of July. I mean, we're sitting here in August. I don't want this to be a continuing, ongoing thing, and the COVID-19 situation continues. And I think if everybody's got their feet on the ground at this point, but there was obviously a lot of reason that we should do this for certainly the months of March and April and probably May. And maybe it's a stretch to go to June and July, but I think that in order to perhaps get these things resolved in these times, I would approve it through July. Maybe somebody wants to do less than that or more than that, but that's just what I would think. The tickets issued from February 1st until this time, that the penalties be waived. Subject to approval of the court.
Right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry,
And-
you know, I'm sorry, before we go, but this is regarding the second amnesty that was suggested, not the first
The
one.
fee.
The
regarding
second
fees.
amnesty regarding
Fine.
tickets issued
Yeah,
between
I'm
February
okay with
1st.
that. That's fine, I'm okay with that as well.
Any further discussion on that second motion regarding tickets issued after, on or after February 1st and on or before July 30th?
July
Here-
31st.
31st.
Okay. And is there, all those in favor signify by saying aye? Any abstentions or negative votes?
None.
Unanimous. With respect to the first motion, could I just have the dates again? Is that September 14th through October 31st?
Correct.
I think it says on this proposed resolution, September 15th through October 31st.
Right, but I believe that the discussion was suggesting September 14,
That's a Monday.
possibly, but that is also the day of village election, September 15.
So
Correct.
September 14th is a Monday. That's why I suggested to start on a Monday. September 15 is the village election. That's the Tuesday, correct?
So I'll move it for September, right? So I think that we did it. We did vote to approve it for September 14th through October 31st, Peter.
And Abraham, can you just clarify the dates that is covered for the first amnesty?
Any ticket that was issued in prior and including January 31st, 2020.
Prior to January 31st, 2020.
I just want to clarify, these are parking tickets that were issued by our code enforcement. These are not regarding moving violations that were issued by Nassau County or if there is any state police. This is just the moving, not a moving violation, just the parking violations.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So for parking tickets issued on or before January 31st of 2020, the dates for the amnesty program would be September 14th through October 31st, payment at 50%.
That is
Is
correct.
that
Yeah.
correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
And is that item moved?
Yes.
Seconded?
Yes.
Any abstentions or negative votes? The item passes unanimously.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is 265 East Shore. Oops, let's get this up here. East Shore Road, the parking lot amended license agreement. Again, Abraham, if you're still there.
I spoke to the gentleman who has the original licensee. Their license ran out as of July 31st. The new license will be a month to month. The village has a 30-day notice option. That means they can give them a 30-day notice and request that the license to be expired. And the licensee has 60-day notice. They have to give the village 60-day notice if they want to terminate the license. The original amount was $18,000. However, because they are using significantly less than what they originally they intended to use, and so far we haven't had any new applicants or anybody who can be licensed to use the parking lot. The Board of Trustees suggested that it would be the $5,000 per month for the next 9 months, and then it will be reduced by $1,000.
Abraham, if I may just jump in for a second, I think you just said that the license agreement would be month to month. The proposal that is in front of me takes effect July 1 of 20 and remains in effect until the last day of the month that is 10 months after the effective date. So it is a 10-month license agreement and provides $9,000 for the month of July and $5,000 for each of the 9 months thereafter, retroactively to July 1st of 20. Is that the right term?
I'm sorry, 9,000 for 9,000 for July, and then how much for the month after?
$5,500 for each of the 9 months thereafter.
You are correct. I apologize. I remember the 5,000. I didn't get the chance to read it over again because this was going back and forth between the board and the licensee a few times. You are
Okay.
correct.
And
That
it
would
is
be
a
the
10
$9,000.
10-month license agreement, but there is an option on 30 days notice to terminate.
The reason it is on a 10 months is because of the, basically what happened was the original amount was the $18,000. Then they wanted to, because they're using it significantly less, maybe they're using only 10% of the parking lot. They want to pay only a 25% of the original amount of the license agreement. And we negotiated, and they are paying, instead of 4,500, it's paying 5,500 for 10 months, for 9 months actually. That will retroactively will be paid for the month of July. That's why, correct, you're correct. The 10-month agreement remains in effect because of the retroactive amount of rent for the July of 2020. I apologize for my my mistake. Yes.
Is there anything to stop the applicant from commencing to park over the entire lot over the next 10 months? Or just our 30-day notice to terminate?
Well, the area of license is shown on a schedule, which is not affixed to my copy of the document. Abraham, you probably have that at Village Hall?
The original documents?
Well, no, I think the trustee is asking where geographically is he authorized to park cars? Because he's authorized to use and occupy up to 200 stalls.
There hasn't been any discussion. I know at one point there was a discussion regarding limiting him to also use only 25% of the lot, but that was never brought up during the negotiation with him. That if you're giving him only 25%, if he's paying only 25% of the rent, his use also is limited to 25%.
Well, that's what it should. I think that's what it should be. The question was, which side are we going to decide, on this side or that side, the north side, the east side, or the west side? That we didn't want to discuss. We didn't decide, but I think based on his request was that he's going to use up to 25% of the lot, or 25% of the numbers that we had originally decided, and that's why we decreased the price. So if we do see, like we did before, that they're using more than this, there should be a provision in the code or in the contract, I'm sorry, that indicates that they're going to be charged more again.
Okay, then we should, I'll amend that proposal then to be up to 50 stalls rather than 200 stalls, which would be 25%. And should he need to exceed the 50 stalls, he can approach the village for an amendment to the agreement.
Yes, thank you.
Very good, sir.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the license agreement with that change in the document that's before you?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any abstention or negative vote? Hearing none, unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, let me get to it, resolutions to allow for the sale of surplus property on East Shore Road.
Brian, do you want to go back up to old business, the lead agency for 777?
Do I?
Okay.
1 second, I was getting ahead of myself, so just give me 1 second here, please. Okay.
If this is 777 we're about to do,
Yep.
The board will recall that
Go ahead.
the applicant did a, I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying go ahead while I pull it up.
Okay. This is 777 Middle Neck Road. The board will recall that the applicant did a conceptual presentation to the Board of Trustees about a fourth floor set of plans for what is now vacant land in the E incentive zone. And this is not a request for approval of the project. This is an administrative piece, a resolution that would declare the Board of Trustees to be the lead agency, as there are no other involved agencies for this particular project, and also a direction to staff, including our office, to take such steps as are necessary to forward this project to the Nassau County Planning Commission for their comments. So all that is happening this evening is a resolution that the board declare itself lead agency, and it acknowledges the receipt of the amended building permit application, the architectural plans, the full environmental assessment form, a traffic study, a supplemental traffic impact letter, a shadow study, and a response letter addressing certain citizen comments, as well as a soil boring report and certain other material describing the proposed project. And the board resolves that it would preliminarily, not finally, but preliminarily classify the project as unclassified and preliminarily conclude no adverse impact. The matter would then be referred to the Nassau County Planning Commission for its comments and will eventually come back to this Board of Trustees for approval on the underlying project. I believe the applicant's attorney, Mr. Bloom, may be logged on. Is that correct?
Paul, you have to unmute yourself, please. There we go.
I am here. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much. We are obviously asking this board by the draft of resolution that has been prepared to make preliminarily two determinations. And that is one, that this is an unlisted or unclassified action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And two, which will, I believe, aid the village and the consideration of the board, sending this matter over under 239M for comments to be prepared and sent back by the Nassau County Planning Commission. We recognize, and Peter, thank you, this is not any decisional matter associated with the substance of the application. I will point out for the record that we've had some communication, and just most recently a Zoom meeting with some representatives of the residents on Guntile. And I believe I left that meeting with a very positive feeling that in fact we will be able to attempt and hopefully be successful in making some sort of modifications to the plans that have been presented, but certainly not voted upon, that will have some positive effect with respect to the feelings of some of the residents that live on the block. As we pointed out before, the alternatives here for us are either a 3-story as of right building or a 4-story with incentives. We believe that the incentives that we receive will be more than paid for in terms of incentive fees and also benefits to the village. The detriment to the environment and to the residents between a 3-story and a 4-story is actually negligible. And in the big picture, this is a matter of opinion, in the big picture, as between the 3- and 4-story building, we believe that the 4-story building is in fact a benefit as opposed to the 3-story building. So to that extent, we would firmly support the board adopting this resolution, preliminarily finding this to be an unclassified or unlisted action under SECA, and requesting the board to send this matter over to the Nassau County Planning Commission. I don't know when this will be formally sent, but it's my experience and my knowledge of the process that there is a 30-day period within which the Nassau County Planning Commission must respond. And so we would ask that this matter be put off for that 30-day period as a date certain, so that we can come back with the hope and expectation we will have a response from the Nassau County prior to that date. Or if not, then on that date, we would request the additional 2-week adjournment for this matter to be heard.
Mr. Bloom, you mentioned something about potentially modifying the plans. I'm only a little troubled that when we send it to the County Planning Commission, we should be doing so with the final set of plans that will be the basis for the Board of Trustees ultimately making its decision. So I wonder if you could just address that point as to whether there will or will not be amended plans, and whether that should be a reason to hold off sending it to the Planning Commission until those amended plans are submitted.
The answer to that is that what we are looking at is possibility of some minor adjustment to one of the faces, one of the walls of the building, which will not in any way change the room number, the room count, or even the bulk of the building, but will, we believe, possibly be acceptable to the neighbors as being taking into consideration some of their concerns. What the Nassau County Planning Commission will be reviewing by the plans that you are sending will be on a review by the Nassau County Planning Commission be negligible, but might be substantial for the residents. So we would request that these plans be sent over. There would be nothing in there that would in any way change the viewing of what we are proposing by the county.
I wanted to find out because based on an earlier discussion, I was under the impression that there will be some changes and it will possibly affect the bulk in a positive way. Now, I think the board would like to know as well, I personally do, if those changes are being made, as Peter said, even though it may be negligible to Nassau County, I don't think it's negligible to the board. And it's definitely going to be significantly in a positive direction to the neighbors. My question is to Peter. I don't have a problem of taking the lead agency, but I would like to know if we can at that time take a look at the plans and see that these are the things that we would like to.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I at the end.
You could not hear me?
Not at the very end. I heard you say, could we take a look at whatever the plans are? And then I lost you.
And then decide if we're going to send it to the planning board.
Yes, sir. The Board of Trustees by this resolution is authorizing us to send the plans to the Nassau County Planning Commission, but it is not directing that that be done with any particular time frame. So that could be left to the discretion of yourself as the mayor. Although, I'm sorry, the resolution directs the village staff and attorney to refer and transmit, but it does not indicate any particular time frame. The board could leave that to your discretion.
Right. So because, again, to me, what was proposed could be significant. I don't know if you would like to discuss it, Paul, but regardless, if you would like to, I have no problem taking the lead agency, but I would like for the plan that will be sent to Nassau County Planning Board have the proper adjustments that are okayed by the board, or if the board wishes to give me the authority to okay it. But I would not want these plans to be sent as as they're not final. Member of the
Paul, I
board.
think you must be on mute.
Can I say something?
Obviously, that is not what we're requesting this evening, but again, this is your determination. We will obviously, since this will entail a minimum of another 2-week delay at best, we'll have to take up with the client how we want to approach this.
Paul, as I mentioned, I don't have an issue with taking the lead agency tonight. I believe obviously it's something that needs to be voted on. And also, if the board wishes to give me the authority to okay the plans before it goes to the planning board in Nassau County, then we can go ahead and vote on this matter. And you can get your client to do the adjustments before the plans go to the county.
Is it conceivable that this can be done in less than 2 weeks?
Can I say something?
Will we require another meeting of the board for that determination to be made if in fact it's being left to you, Mr. Mayor?
Well, if the board decides to make that determination, to allow me to give the direction to the attorneys and the building department to send the plans over, and you can get the plans to me in 2 days or 5 days, I would ask Peter if that's a possibility that we can do that to make sure that we are okay with the plans and that it has been approved, that it can be approved today, that we can send it in a few days if they give us the plans in timely fashion.
Yeah, yes, sir, that can be done as long as the changes made are, as Paul described them, de minimis, not substantial change.
Okay.
Can I say something?
1 second, Mr. Lee.
Thank
please.
you.
So is the member of the boards are okay with this possible changes to be approved by me and send it to the county? Or would you like to see the plans before it does happen?
I would like to see the plans before it happens. And I think there are a number of questions that have been coming up in the Zoom chat that I think we should address. There is a lot of concern. There have been a number of people who've mentioned that Mr. Bloom made a statement, I guess, about the application, that something was sent to the Nassau County. It went off the screen already. I wasn't at.
Danny, it was about that Mr. Bloom had said previously, I'm paraphrasing, that it was sent to Nassau County Planning Commission already and it was denied. I don't know if that.
Right, so the question was, I am asking if he can disclose the request and the response by Nassau County. Is there anything, Mr. Bloom, that you have to add to that? In other words, you say it was denied. Was there a reason why it was denied? Can you provide for this resident? It's iPhone. I don't know who iPhone is, but I'm just reading. There are a number of questions that arose in this chat. I just would like some of them addressed.
I don't know exactly what is being referred to. I'm going to guess that what we stated was that we contacted Nassau County DPW with respect to a curb cut possibility on Middle Neck Road as opposed to Guntile. And we responded to that in our letter. And if that's what you're referring to, there was no formal submission. The village did not make a formal submission. We were confident of what the response was going to be from the county. They said, here are our requirements. Here is our policy. And with respect to quote unquote denial, there was no denial, but there was reference in the materials that were given to us and the policy of the Nassau County DPW Traffic Division that a curb cut on Middle Neck Road would not be acceptable. So if that's being interpreted as a denial, then I don't believe I used those terms, but if I did, I'm now clarifying what I've said.
So it wasn't a denial, rather just that, I mean, it's I guess it's just a choice of words, but it's basically they're not allowing it.
Okay, if I might. Nassau County DPW, Nassau County Planning Commission, and for that matter, New York State Department of Buildings will not give advisory opinions. What you must do is you must file with them formally before they take a review of what is being presented to them. We do not have the ability to give them any submission. The submission at this point would be from the village in a 239M, which is what we are asking the village to do, and also in what's referred to as a 239F, as in Frank, which we will do, but we cannot do until after the village grants an approval. So there is no process today for us to be able to get an advisory opinion as to what would you do if this occurred. They will not deal with hypotheticals. They will deal with actual applications that are submitted to them once the village grants us our final approval. They do have policies, and we did attach a copy of the policy. And I think Rebecca Goldberg, I don't know, Rebecca, are you on the line someplace?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Rebecca, am I misstating what was attached in your letter with respect to the contact with Nassau County?
Rebecca, just
No.
please state your name and who you're with so that everybody knows. And for the record, please.
Certainly. Excuse me. My name is Rebecca Goldberg. I'm a civil engineering director, licensed professional transportation engineer with Cameron Engineering and Associates. Our business address is 177 Crossways Park Drive, Woodbury, New York.
Thank you.
So the statements that have been made are regarding standing Nassau County policies because Middle Neck Road is under Nassau County jurisdiction, and they have policies that have been in place for at least 20 years regarding what they allow for a property that has access on a corner of a county road and a village road. So what we have provided to date is a statement of what these existing policies are, and saying that especially because the long side of the property frontage is on Goodhile Lane, not Middle Neck Road, that the county policy applies, which means that they would not allow access on Middle Neck Road. They want it on the local street. So it is not possible to make a formal application until the the application goes through with the Nassau County Planning Commission and with the village declaring lead agency. Those have to happen first. So again, like Paul said, we don't want to represent that we have made a formal application. However, we have submitted materials that reflect what these policies are that dictate where site access is allowed to be.
Oh,
And those have been previously submitted to the board.
And those documents are from Nassau County DPW, not from your generation, correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Yes. The documents that were submitted are from Nassau County. These are not your opinion that you have placed on paper, but this comes directly from Nassau County DPW. Is that correct?
Correct. In the letter that we submit, one of the letters submitted to the village, we quote verbatim what Nassau County policy says.
I hope that answers the question. There was no formal denial. There was no formal submission. We've done what we can do at this point. There is nothing further that we can do with respect to what you're asking for. I cannot get an opinion in advance on a project that has not been approved. I can give you policy for what we're hearing is been in existence with Nassau County DPW for over 20 years. I can give you sites where in fact this policy has been applied, but I cannot give you more than that from the county at this point. And as I said, it is similar if in fact we had an issue dealing with the New York State Building, Fire and Building Code, I would be going to a gentleman who is a representative of Long Island Gentleman in Hauppauge, representing the state. He also will not give me an opinion or an advisory letter. He will say, file an application, we'll look at it, and then we'll give you a decision.
So can I say something?
Mayor, is
There's
that
a
okay?
list of people who want to say something.
Before, Mr. Lee, before you say something, so if Paul, if you know what those de minimis, as you call it, I think after our discussion with the member of the Gutile residents, I believe that you were going to make some changes and discretions. I want to know if those discretions were made. And if not, then I think we're going to, I'm going to ask the residents to have their say.
I don't have a formal drawing, but I have seen a sketch which is going to be put into a formal drawing, which takes the wall which is facing the easterly portion of the property, the one which is on Guntile and opposite Middle Neck Road. And for the area where the house, the existing house at 6 Guntile is, a portion of that wall, that sheer wall of the building, is proposed to be moved in, to be cut in, to increase the setback of that wall from the house which is next door to us.
Good.
The separation between the house and the wall will be approximately 40 some odd feet. I do not have exact proportions or numbers since it hasn't been formalized. We can formalize that. So what we were doing is, as was contemplated by the architect, was to take some of that wall away from the house, which was immediately to our east. Now, there is already a 25, I believe, 25-foot setback on our side, and then there is also another 9 or 10 feet, possibly 11 feet on that owner's property. So we've got that to begin with, and then there will be an additional cut in the building. Now, this is not being done without cost to the applicant. It does require a reallocation, segmentation of the floor plans for all the proposed apartments that are in that building, and going to, in some respects, create odd-shaped units, because there's going to be a jog in, a cut into the building, which will no longer have a straight wall. So there is an impact on the design of the building and the interior configuration of the building, as well as pulling this building back by whatever number of feet that we can to maintain or to give this additional separation of the buildings. A lot of the conversation was with respect to shadow studies. This will cut down a bit on the shadow study, but I'm going to repeat what I said at the very beginning. The difference between the impact on the neighbors on Guntile, between a 3-story as of right building and the 4-story building that we are proposing, because of the additional setbacks that we are providing, the extra 5 feet on floors 1, 2, and 3, and an additional 5 feet on floor 4, the differential between the two buildings is negligible, including the number of units, the bulk of the building, in that entire 4th floor will only account for an increase of a total of 5 units for the entire project. So there are options available here. And the options will have to be studied and evaluated by the client. If in fact the mayor and the board feels at this point that you can grant us the first part of the resolution by designating this preliminarily as an unlisted action, but wants to hold off with respect to sending it on the 239M. I am looking, and this is why I asked it, I am looking at a 2-week delay in this process. That will also have to be taken into consideration by our client.
I would like to open it to public. I know that this has been discussed, but what I'd like to ask is if anyone has any new topics to discuss in this matter, I would appreciate them speaking first.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Lee, we'll get to you first since you did comment earlier. Just again, just for the public, we're going to try to keep the comments short as we have again a long full agenda. There's lots of people that want to speak. So, Mr. Lee, if you would like to talk, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, Ken Lee, 7 Gothel Lane. I am a registered architect and working on planning myself. And accidentally, I'm also one of the residents in Gothel Lane. So I'm originally trying to show you guys 2 documentation after I read the statements. But then I think the statement might be too long for everyone, but eventually if I have time, I'll do it. But the thing is that I have to appreciate the mayor and the board. It's actually, for the first time I heard it, you are standing on our side because you don't really want to have them to rush this plan, which had a lot of a problem to Nassau County without you guys reviewing it. I appreciate that very much. My question is this: we are still in this kind of communication procedure, and I was advised to show you guys some kind of options here or there. Actually, I do have one. The thing is that it sounds like the developer doesn't really want to change their attitude from the first beginning, starting from last year. Nothing really major change at all. The layout, the car access, the massing, they keep talking about 3-story, 4-story, shadow here or there, doesn't matter. I mean, because whatever they always choose the easiest way, including how the car get out from Middle Neck Road, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to show you. If you can allow me to just share the screen, I'm going to show you my documentation.
Go ahead.
Can I do that?
Yep, go ahead.
John, how do I do that? John.
Mr. Lee, which one do you want to show? I have them ready.
Okay, I can do it myself. Do you want me to do myself? I have something on my screen.
Which one do you want? Do you want the sight lines or the cul-de-sac?
Okay, let's do the more interesting one. Let's do the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
No, he has it. He has it. Brian has it.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Here we go, Mr. Lee.
Okay, if you can zoom out a little bit so you can see the complete. Okay, slightly larger. Okay, I spent a little bit of time just using the Google map, looking at the north part of the Great Neck, and I hope I didn't miss much. But I tried to all the dots on each of the maps showing a cul-de-sac. And actually, the only one is comparatively close to our situation. Actually, even better is the first 2 pages at the Russell Woods. Okay, and go back to the first one, you can see this is the much deep cul-de-sac. Actually, with another court in the middle of it. The major difference this one than Gothel Lane is you can see at the beginning of the intersection, the 2 sides of street. The apartment buildings share the same depth, about 100, and the rest of it is all residential. And also this intersection is so close to the major intersection between Middle Neck Road South and Northern Boulevard. Okay, so if they deserve something better than us, I don't even know why Gothel Lane, more than 3 miles away from this, we have even worse condition that eventually this plan got built. Because here, another situation, you can see the street is much wider and nobody really got that much impact compared with Garthland because we have more than 230 feet of new buildings in front of 4 single-family houses across street. Okay, those are the major differences. And then we can keep going on. It's like a sightseeing, and you can see what we have here. So this is what you see at the plan view or the street view. Okay, it's wider, it's quiet with the sidewalk. Okay, so it's totally different. Okay, and then let's keep going on to the other maps. So this is some other areas where probably everyone can see. None of them has a similar situation as ours. Okay, keep going. Okay, this is near near the downtown. This is the famous townhouse we all know. Keep going. Keep going, please.
Mr. Lee, can I interrupt you for a moment? I know that we have discussed this. For the sake of time, you know.
Okay, then that's fine. I can finish this, but I just keep on. Let's keep going. I only want to show what that and versus Garthland, and you will see that in very soon.
And that's the end, Mr.
Okay,
Lee.
that's it. Okay, sorry, the previous one.
This one?
No, the previous one. The previous page. Well, no. This is
Here.
back. Okay, here. Okay, here it is. This is okay. So you can see the difference right away. And if this building got built as it is, this is going to be the worst cul-de-sac in whole Great Neck. Okay. Okay, let's finish this one. Let's go back to the other documentation. Okay. Here I have 4 drawings. I'm borrowing the developers' drawings presented like in a couple months ago. And let's go to the first page. Okay, here is what you can compare. I call the sideline. The lower sideline, I call the sideline 2, is where you stand across street, looking at a typical 30 feet high at the ridge house, which it could be dot in the red dot, which I'm borrowing my own house and put it across street. Okay, and the sideline 1 is really what you see of the future buildings.
Mr. Lee?
Yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have done this.
Yes, but the public doesn't know. I want to use this opportunity to make it public record.
No, but
I'm trying to help you.
No. I have a question for you, though. I have a question for you.
Sure.
I think the board has seen this multiple times.
No, only you. This drawing, only you saw this in the meeting. No board members has seen this.
Let the mayor just let him ask his question.
Sure.
So my question is this: if this is for the sake of putting it in public and for documentation, it's a whole different reason. My question is, I just want to go fast forward a little bit. I remember that I've asked you at least a dozen times, if you're against this, as Paul explained, that and we have discussed that there are certain things that the applicant is capable of doing as of right, meaning the code allows it. Now that has nothing to do with our discussion here. Obviously, we have listened to the residents multiple times, and we're trying to do what is best for the residents. The question is, and I have asked you this before, after going through all this exercise of showing this to the public about a regular site and the sight line number 1, sight line number 2, after you do that, do you have a suggestion?
Yes, I do.
What should go there? You do.
I do.
Okay. Because if you don't, then we're just repeating.
I do.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me just say one more thing about what I'm doing here. Because for the whole review, not only Board of Trustees, Planning Board, Architecture Board, they all have to say, right? But in all those zoning documentation, if I read them through clearly, there was always someone going to jump out to say, if the development, even is as of right, but if it have impact negatively to the immediately adjacent community, people can call it out and may not approve it. So that's why this is one of the drawings people should supposed to see and understand. Okay, probably you don't appreciate that much, but I need to present it. Okay, so now I'm okay with this. You have a 4-page of that, whether you don't want to see it, doesn't matter. It's going to be in the record, I hope. I can present you what I proposed. Unfortunately, I did not email this to Brian. So if Brian allow me, I can share this right now. I did this quick option. Okay.
Yeah. And again, let's I'm gonna stop sharing. I'll allow you.
Okay. Thank you. So let me share.
If that's okay with the mayor and the board.
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Show me. Okay. Oh, wait. No. Okay. So. Okay, can you see this?
No.
We're not seeing it yet.
Can you see this?
No.
No, Mr. Lee.
Can you
Up
see
here.
this?
Now it's coming up.
Okay, now we see something.
Okay, this is kind of rough, but this is the one of the ideas. I borrowed their plan and draw over it, or the overlay. I put it in the tracing paper, and I just did this. And it's just the concept, so people may laugh at it, but this is the idea, right? They are proposing a north face courtyard, and even they call themselves addressed with the 777 Middle Neck Road, and turns out their entry is on Gothard Lane. Okay, here is slightly different. If they look at it, if anyone look at carefully about their shadow study, the shadow study tells a problem of their own. Not only the shadow study, they block the sun into our property, and also it didn't generate any light to their north-facing courtyard. In other words, if they stay as their north-facing courtyard, the whole courtyard going to be dark all the time. It's pretty bad. I feel bad for them. Okay, this is the other way. I reversed it, and but still kind of chop the middle portion of the massing on the Gothard Lane side. So they still kind of discontinue the long facade. And this gives you a south-facing courtyard. And in terms of the traffic, I'm proposing, as I always said, at this corner adjacent to the current public work, and providing a new traffic lights over there shared. So with this development or with the future development altogether, this traffic light will help control the traffic over this point, no matter where they're going to turn. I know Nassau County doesn't like this or whatever, but once they understand the negative impact to Gothard Lane with the current condition, probably they'll think about this may not be a bad idea. Then they need to work hard to make it work, okay? So this idea is that they have one curb cut, 2 lanes, drive all the way in on the south side of the property, then eventually goes down to a ramp, then going down to the basement. Then here they still have the courtyard, and the car can still come in, drop off. They still have, if they still have their ground level parking here or there, this do the same thing as their current plan. So this is the basic, and their entrance can be somewhere at this corner at the first floor or to the center. But anyway, driveway over here is something over here. This is where the entry point at the first floor. Okay, and then that addressed the traffic issue. The massing, this is what I'm proposed. This portion against the neighborhood, residential neighborhood, is going to be 3-story max, okay? And this portion, the slightly darker color, is going to be 4-story max. I'm not saying they cannot do 4-story or whatever, but this gives them a guideline, or something they can play with themselves. But this is the one I'm proposing from the site plan view. And then if I go to the second page, this is the very quickly sketches showing that idea in 3D. Okay, so basically you have a 3-story base with the south facing courtyard, which everyone will have some kind of sunlight, and this courtyard is the live one instead of that one as they have before. And that portion is what I call you try to keep the scale to the existing scale as much as you can, which is really a 3-story max. Okay, Cindy's house over here, my house over here, number 5 and whatever, okay? But then you do have the way to do your 4-story around your courtyard. Okay, this is about the best way and the quickest way, which is very quick to show that plan ideas. This is my option number 1. I don't have the option.
Mr. Lee, okay, so I want to tell you, I commend you for your presentation. It was probably the first time that I got a presentation from a resident in the past 5.5 or so years. Again, I really wanted to thank you. It was nicely done. I do like the plan. The issue is again going to be Nassau County allowing this to happen. And again, until we have the DPW there, this is going to be difficult, if at all possible, to have an entrance on that side going into a residential building through our DPW entrance.
No, it's not. It's not. Everything is within their own property line. No, they are not going to.
No, I know, but I thought that you wanted. I know, but I thought you wanted to actually.
No, this not one. They can share because eventually, here, if DPW have the entrance over here, eventually they can share the lights here. Okay, because both of them are so close. And look at the Garthtown Lane and the shifted Steamboat Road. They don't align, but they share the same set of traffic lights.
So you're saying to put a traffic light here going north?
Well, I'm not a traffic expert, but I think I'll prefer this way because if you synchronize this traffic light, people have enough to make a turn and the maneuver and starting with the former queuing line in a reasonable way. Okay, it's going to be anything better than dump your extra 70-some cars to existing 24 cars to this very narrow side street, which is a dead end. Okay, nobody recognized this fact. Okay, people just choose the easy way to go. They don't want to change anything at all. That's what frustrates me so much. Okay, people just think about the easy way and hire those traffic study, here or there, but doesn't do anything better.
Let me ask you this: did this significantly change the bulk of the building?
No, not much. You still have a 3-4 story. You have to play with it.
3-4 stories, not what I'm talking about.
You're saying the volume. Did it change any of the? No, it sounds like he didn't. He just rearranged it.
Well, it will be slightly different. Okay, let me. If you start to talk about the bulk or number of dwelling density wise, I have a different argument, but I want to talk about right now because this is really trying to show you a reasonable way to think about it differently, okay? Because I think this is a better plan than theirs.
Mr. Lee, that's not my question. Based on your calculation, again, this is something that the applicants have to take a look at. When you are putting the road on the south side, you are taking, I don't know what the width of that road is, 20 feet, 30
24,
feet.
25 feet, the same as theirs.
So if that is going to be the setback, you're saying you're using that as a setback. Listen, you know what? I have heard, I know that this Gotthard is a very special road to many people. I do believe that we are making progress.
It's very easy. I just don't want them to go to Nassau County without trying anything better. They didn't try anything.
Right. So I don't know, again, I don't know if they can, from what I'm hearing, they can have an entrance.
That's why I'm showing it in public so everyone can see it. Anyone with the training or architecture or something will see whether it's convincing or not.
Mr. Lee,
let me finish my sentence. I don't know if Nassau County would allow an entrance from Middle Neck Road. If they could allow an entrance from Middle Neck Road, we would probably not it would be a lot easier. I did see your proposal. Paul, I know you're listening. I would like to see, and I know that your clients are also getting antsy. They've been sitting on this project for a while. I do want to really create a project or help not create the project, but move the project that is welcomed by the neighbors. And I think that's what you want, and I'm sure your client would like as well. If the board is willing, because we are making some movement, if we can table this again one more time, and I'm sorry to do this again and again, until our next meeting, maybe we can have more meetings to make sure that this is not going to significantly affect. And from what I'm hearing, it's not necessarily the shadows that are the shadow study. It's probably the traffic that goes into Guthile. That said, if we can table this again one more time, now that we see something new emerging, I would like to continue the dialogue. I'm going to just ask the member of the board if they have an issue or they would like to make any comments.
I like the idea. I think it's creative, and I think that in some ways it could even benefit the DPW, if they wanted to make a left turn and they're sharing that light. I see it as something positive, and it sounds like the shadow stuff, there'll be less of a shadow issue, and there'll be less of a traffic issue on Guthile.
Bart?
Also, whatever's going to be built on the DPW site in the future, if anything, is going to necessarily need to go out on Middle Neck Road. It's landlocked otherwise. So
right, and I think if you have the face,
this plan will help. Will help the project.
Yeah, I think if you have the face of this building toward the face of other building, it would create a more interesting environment. Steve, you have any comments, Mr. Namdar?
Yeah. It looks very interesting to me. I like it.
You like the presentation of Mr. Lee or the previous presentation?
I really like this new concept.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to.
So that said, Mr. Lee, you remember what I told you about a year ago?
I don't really want to do this.
We are listening. So I wanted to thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
And I do like this concept. I would please do me a favor, send your info. I don't know if
I will.
Send your info to Brian. I would like to have a conversation with you afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
That said, I'm going to move to table this project as well one more time. I do want to apologize to the applicants. I know that they've been waiting for a while. Mr. Bloom, I do apologize, but I think we are making headways, and I don't want to lose the opportunity to even create a nicer project. So let's just table this for a couple more weeks, and then hopefully we come up with a better idea. All right, thank you. Can we move to the next?
Okay, let me just get back here. Okay, the next item on the agenda, as long as I covered all the old business, is
I was trying to say something to Mr. Bloom before you switch subjects.
Mayor, is that okay? We can address the board in general. We do not address the attorneys.
The board then, if I could just have a moment.
Yes, what's your name?
Yes, hi, it's Judy Rosenthal, 67 Radnor Road. I just wanted to say that I noticed a disparity in something that I heard, because I have notes from the very first presentation that was given, by Attorney Bloom on this project. And I have notes that very clearly said with an asterisk near them that the reason that the Middle Neck Road entrance exit was not under consideration was that because there would be a time delay of significance, potentially up to 2 years. And so somehow because of that, this by default went to Guthel Lane as the entrance and exit. And I just wanted to bring that up that, perhaps even with a time delay, not that anyone wants a delay like that, and maybe that's not even realistic, it's still not a reason to throw all the traffic onto Guthel Lane. It should still be open for exploration. And again, I have notes because I do listen to Attorney Bloom. I want him to know he's being heard. And I have this notation from the very first presentation that that was the reason why the entrance was moved. So I wanted to just say that to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so this is tabled until September 1st. Brian, next.
So the next item on the agenda is resolutions to allow for the sale of surplus property on East Shore Road. Peter, if you would like to discuss, please.
Certainly, the board will find that it has in the backup material a number of documents. This is, again, not an approval of the underlying proposed project, which is to construct senior housing on the former sewer pump station site, which is now joined with the area that purchased from the Vista Hill property. What is involved is an authorization to the mayor to sign a contract of sale to an entity known as Villadome. And that entity under the contract is anticipating to build senior housing. Their attorney, Mr. Bloom, is here and will make a slightly more expanded presentation. But the documents contemplate that the mayor be authorized to sign the contract of sale, that the EAF, the environmental assessment form, is aimed solely at the segmented piece of that authorization and contemplates that the full CEQA analysis and assessment will be done when the plans are submitted and requested Board of Trustee approval. There's also a resolution that declares that the execution of the agreement as a standalone act would be an unlisted act, an unlisted action under CEQA with a negative declaration. And the resolution also reaffirms, I believe, what was a prior resolution of the board, but again declares the property to be surplus to the village. These documents are all in the backup material that you have. And again, would authorize the mayor to sign the sale agreement in anticipation of a project that has not yet undergone CEQA analysis. I will add that the contract is substantially in the form of the final document. There are negotiations that took place even as recently as this morning through this afternoon on some of the more minor technical points, but the fundamental agreement is present in the document before you. There is some cleanup language that will need to be done over the next day or two, and the resolution authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement that is in substantially the form of the draft agreement before you. Mr. Bloom, do you wish to address the board?
Paul,
Mr. Paul, are you there?
Let's unmute Paul, and we.
Yes, thank you. We're obviously supporting the adoption of this resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a contract when it is finalized. Yes, it is substantially ready to be executed. I believe that there might have been a draft of the contract or form of a contract that might have been posted by the village. And I would say that the substance or the general concept of the contract that is on the site is accurate with respect to the acquisition. But since the time of its regeneration and generation over the course of a number of days and weeks, There are some things that have been modified, and yes, Peter, you and I have been in discussions as late as, I guess, 5 or 6 o'clock this evening. What we are proposing is to purchase this property from the village. As anybody who is familiar with the site understands, that this is the former Great Neck Sewer Department site when the village had its own sewer department, which was then subsequently merged into the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District. This site, obviously, for probably since 1934, has been a sewer treatment plant that has gone through numerous upgrades based upon federal standards, but had opened digesters at some point and then closed digesters, took the sewage from approximately 50% of the incorporated village of Great Neck and ultimately pumped from the various pump stations to this site. Through the years, residents up on West Terrace had complained about odors that were emanating from this facility. There was always questions about whether or not it was actually coming from the facility or not, but I think the village can check its records and see that the complaints had been replete. At this point, the property is vacant. There is a major sewer pipe that is running through it, and it is being used, interestingly enough, for the a license agreement that was discussed earlier tonight for the storage of vehicles for a previously owned automobile dealer. It is certainly not being used to its greatest advantage for that use, and certainly having that sewer treatment plant at that location, though excellent for 1934, probably long was overdue for closure and merger. The other part of the property is part of a former pool, private pool property that had its access from Vista Hill Road. That pool property was abandoned in probably the late 70s, early 80s. And sometime in the early 90s, there was a subdivision of that property, which then produced a number of single-family homes, one of which then had this huge location, this huge area for the swimming pool complex itself. That property was in effect sterilized to the extent that nothing could be built on that property, and the owner of that property was burdened with significant taxes on that property being privately owned, and with absolutely no ability to do anything but possibly put a soccer field for their children. The village has, to my knowledge, and as represented in the contract, taken ownership of that property, the former pool property, and is merging that with the former sewer department property to create what is just short of 3 acres of land. What we are proposing to do on this 3 acres of land is to construct senior housing, approximately 60 units, though the plans have not been finalized to that extent, 60 plus minus units. Most of those units, at least at this point, are planned to be 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Being senior units, there's not an expectation that there will be any impact whatsoever on the Great Neck School District. And currently the property, in fact, now both of them are tax exempt properties. They are not obligated to be on the tax rolls as they are owned by a municipality. The benefit for this type of development is to, 1, provide senior housing on this site, units that will be basically only occupied by those people who generally speaking, do not have children that will be attending the school, placing this property back on the tax rolls. Now, I made some inquiry since we don't know exactly what the taxes are going to be, but the estimate that I can come up with is somewhere around, and we're talking about village taxes alone, somewhere between $120,000 and $170,000 a year in village taxes alone. Now, again, I don't want people to start making notes about this and saying on such and such occasion, Mr. Bloom said that there was going to be village taxes of between $120,000 and $170,000. It's an estimate, it's a guesstimate, it's based upon the tax rates and valuations of other properties. It is subject, obviously, to official assessment by the village. Whatever that number is, be it $100,000, $120,000, $170,000 of village taxes, that is the smallest part of the tax bill that this property will generate. As everybody who pays taxes in this village and in this county knows, approximately 60% of your tax bill is school tax alone. In addition to that, you have a general tax that is to be paid. So the whatever hundreds of thousands of dollars that is represented by the village tax that will now come to the village coffers as a result of this improvement to the property and this, in effect, changing the character and nature of the property to be more consistent with the Avalon, which is across the street, will in fact upgrade all of the properties and give more incentive for upgrading the properties, which are currently now basically industrial in nature. What will also occur here is a minimalization of the traffic impacts as a result of the use. There is, as part of this development, a small retail element, approximately 13,000 square feet. Right now, we do not have any tenant or any party who is interested in that retail portion of property, but adjacent to us, there are two other types of quote unquote retail use. One more of an industrial use, and that is the Feldman Lumber, and also the building which is immediately to the south, which is currently a dry cleaner. What will occur if in fact we are successful in attracting a grocery type operation is, one, provide the ability for people who are going to live in this complex to walk from their home, their front door, to the front of the property and purchase their food necessities. Now, for those who are not familiar with the concept, the 13,000 square foot footprint for a grocery store is small. And please, when you say grocery store, don't think of the size of the Best Market. Don't think of the size of a Stop and Shop, a type of operation such as a, trying to think now, the ShopRites, et cetera. It is not that type of an operation. And if you look at the floor plan of what is proposed there, which was submitted, you'll see that the number of shelves that are located within the store are minimal. It'll be for basically the necessities that would be required. This will also add a benefit to those residents who are currently living in the Avalon. The Avalon right now does not have any type of operation that is located within walking distance that would provide them the ability to buy milk, eggs, and other necessities. This will cut down significantly on the additional traffic for those people who are going to be purchasing some groceries. Again, do not quote me. I am not telling you that a grocery store is going in there. I'm not telling you which grocery store because I have no idea what it is. It's going to be designated as retail. And there is parking available on that building. The unit itself, the apartment building that is being proposed, the senior citizen residence that is being proposed, and this is not a congregate care, this is not an assisted living. This is a independent living facility. People who will be living in their apartments are people who are capable of living in the apartment without aid or assistance, unless they happen to have some personal individual living with them or providing them service. This is a 55 and over concept. That building is set approximately 200 feet plus back from the roadway. Also, the height of that structure is limited because there is a restriction that has been placed upon this property for the benefit of the residents on West Terrace to provide them with appropriate sight lines to Manhasset Bay. As a result, the height of the building is restricted in the location of where the building is going to be located and how tall the building is going to be. So there is that restriction. It will not be another Avalon with 6 or 7 stories. It will not have 90 some odd units associated with it. It is a very conservative type of development for this site, which provides a vital service for the community. So if there's any other thing, Mayor, that you would like me to touch upon, I'll be happy to do that. But I believe that's the overview of what we're asking for this board to authorize you to sign a contract.
All right, thank you, Paul. I think I was trying to read some of the comments just to clarify some of the misunderstandings. One is obviously this is not another Avalon. The number of units are a lot less. I think it's about a third based on my memory, if I'm not wrong. Also, the use is for 55 and above. This is not an assisted living. This is not a nursing home. They call this an independent living. These are people that have pretty much their kids usually in college, or they have they're people that are slightly older, not senior citizens, and would want to live in Great Neck and stay in Great Neck, would like to have guests over. It does not and will not block the view of the people that live on the terrace, West Terrace, with the water view. We make sure that that's not going to happen. That's not the presentation that we have seen. As far as the taxes goes, obviously it will bring significant amount of taxes to the village. Is it going to decrease our taxes, meaning other individuals' taxes? I don't know, because I don't know what it would be when this place is built, but it definitely will help contribute toward the base. And I think that's always something that, and any kind of development we look at. As far as the traffic, I do believe that, and not I believe, I know that residentials always bring less traffic than commercial. I know that there's some people that would like to have a very large supermarket, like Best or some other supermarket up there. I think that would definitely significantly, in a negative way, affect the traffic on East Shore Road. As far as somebody mentioned about it being noticed publicly, I think this is a notice that is necessary. I would ask the council to advise us if this is what we have done is proper, or if we need to do something else. I'm sure that we have done. This has been on the agenda for about 3 weeks now, so it was sufficient for people who are interested to know. And I would ask Peter to opine on that as well.
Yes, sir. The law requires that a village receive a fair and reasonable price when selling real estate that it owns. It does not prescribe any particular methodology by which you determine that there is a fair and reasonable price. In this particular case, what we have done is engaged an appraiser who has appraised the property. And while the actual appraisal figure is not one that I'm prepared to disclose, I can say that the sales price is somewhat in excess of the appraised price. So I am comfortable that we have a fair and reasonable price. Additionally, there is no special notice or hearing or other particular legal requirements for a village to authorize its mayor to sign a contract of sale for real estate, so that the resolution is procedurally appropriate for you to deal with this evening. Whether or not you choose to pass it, of course, is up to the board, but there was no special legal
It was just an invite
requirements.
to their WhatsApp group. It was not a membership application. I still don't know how much it costs to go to services there and whether they have room for us.
Everybody just reminded to please mute yourself if you're gonna have side conversations. Okay, sorry about that, Mayor.
Okay. So with that discussion, I would like to ask the member of the board if they have any concerns or questions that they would like to bring up.
I would just like to point out that the same people keep hitting the chat button here saying that this is going to add to traffic and noise. Residential housing is the least impact on traffic. That's been proven over and over. And the same people that want no traffic on East Shore Road, no traffic impact, are proposing a supermarket. That is trucks. That is many, many, many times the number of trips in and out per day on East Shore Road. That is going to be parking situations and backed up traffic. So to compare
Yeah, I
that
think we
to
just have to
residential,
look at what's going on
if you look at the traffic impact of Avalon Bay, which is almost nil on East Shore Road, compared to a supermarket. I mean, take a look at the situation in Best Market parking lot.
Yeah,
So,
Everfresh, Best Market, all those.
Everfresh, I mean, this is, and the noise of trucks that we, and the garbage and everything else, as compared to a 55 and up residential building, which is what we've been listening to the residents for years about this. They don't want an impact on the schools, on the number of children, okay? To leave this, I think that what people would prefer is that we leave this property fallow.
Right.
Our cars on it on waterfront property, which is, the equivalent of, why don't we just go spend $9 million on any random property and buy it and take it off the tax roll? That's irresponsible. We're trustees. We have a fiduciary duty to the residents of this village to have the highest, best use for the land, not parking cars, okay, and not leaving it fallow, and have the least impact on the schools, the least and the best impact on our tax base. This is a win-win situation. People want to scream and yell about, I don't understand. We've listened to everything that you guys have been saying for years.
We're a piece of green property.
Hello?
Yep.
Somebody make a comment I could not hear, but again, this is not a, we are not going to vote on the project. The project has not been discussed. This is just for the opportunity for the mayor to sign the contract for the sale. And obviously, if people like to, I can tell them that this is, if we decide to approve the plan, the sale will go through. If we do not approve the plan, the sale will not go through. And I do believe that this is just we are exercising the right to sell the property as it is in excess and it's been sitting there idle for years now. And I do believe that this is going to significantly improve the area when the project comes. I know that somebody wanted to have they wanted us to listen to the neighbors. We will listen to the neighbors when the project is being discussed. At that time, we will listen the way we listen to 777. We're going to make sure that this is going to have the least negative impact and only positive impact to that area. I used to live up there when the sewer plant was there, and I tell you that was not a very sightly neighborhood. It is now filled with cars, actually up to about before COVID, and now it's some cars and gravel. So I'm sure anything that goes there probably can enhance the area, but again, this is just for the sale of the property, and we're not selling it today. This is for the contract of sale, and obviously, if we don't agree with the concept, that's a whole different meeting that we will have to discuss the impact that it will have on the neighborhood. So with that, I just don't want people to think that we're not listening to them, and there's no presentation on the project. This is just the sale, the contract of sale. That's all.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Can you clarify one thing? One of the comments that was written, or one of the things that you said was that if the project does not get approved, does that cancel the sale?
Yes.
Okay. So I want that to be clear, to some of the people that if this were not an approved project, if for whatever reason, it didn't go through, there was a lot of negative, or there was something that happened that it was decided against, then the sale would not go through. Okay.
Yes, if I may just add to that, Trustee Mendelson, and I'll ask Mr. Bloom to confirm it. A core concept of the contract is that it is known right here at the beginning that this project cannot be built as of right. The square footage that is contemplated will require either a change in the zoning laws or a variance from the Zoning Board of Trustees. And should the applicant not receive the necessary approvals from the village by way of a change of zoning or by way of a zoning variance, then the applicant has the right to walk away from the deal and be unable to build it because he doesn't have the proper approvals and would be left only with as of right opportunities. Or in the alternative, could go forward with the transaction and pay the $9 million, or the parties could renegotiate. But the point is that the project will require further approvals from the village, and if those approvals are not obtained, then this particular project will not be built as it is currently conceived. Mr. Bloom, can you confirm that?
Absolutely. I just did.
Mayor Brawl, for clarity's sake, could you just share with the public that
I don't
Village
know
Arm
who
is
you
in
are. I'm
fact?
sorry. Could you please just introduce yourself? I don't
Yes,
know.
hi, I'm sorry. Yes, it's Judy Rosenthal. Mayor Brawl, for clarity's sake and for the public who often don't know the name Village Arm, but do know the name of the developer, the local developer of the French bakery, Chris Torkin, could you just share with the public that in fact Village Arm is the developer, Chris Torkin? That I think that would matter.
Well, I tell you why we can't, because it may not be Chris Torcon. It may be Chris Torcon with 10 other partners. I don't know. That's why I don't want to say the names, because I don't know who everybody on that group is, if there are other people in the group. So you wanted to mention the name, you did, but I don't think that's appropriate, because that individual or any other individual, they're not buying this property by themselves. Usually when there is an incorporation, there may be partners in that sale or purchase, and I don't have all their names. So it's not fair to mention one name, and I don't know the percentage of the ownership, or the percentage of, not ownership, I shouldn't say, but percentage of partnership. So it's irrelevant what the person is or who the person is.
Point of information.
So again?
Point of information.
Yeah. Please just introduce yourself. I
Brian, can I talk?
Yep, just state your name and
Me in? Hello?
hi.
Brian? Okay,
Jean,
Jean Pierce.
Go ahead,
Can you
Jean.
hear me? Okay. Question. Was this property presented to any other developer or only this one developer or group? You won't tell us what the appraisal price was, but I would like to know, was it presented to anybody else other than this one group?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
It was?
Yes.
I can hardly hear you. Who's talking?
That's the mayor.
Oh, so it was presented to other people and only this person was interested, correct?
Yes.
Hello?
Mayor, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Well, you was clear all the other all these other hours I've been sitting here. Now I can't hear you.
You still can't hear me?
Yeah,
No.
so Gene, I'm
In
gonna,
the back.
he said, the mayor said yes. That is accurate.
So
Okay.
then I said yes, and no one for this price.
Okay. And the other question, Mr. Sobel, Trustee Sobel, you cannot compare Best Smart parking lot as the supermarket on East Shore Road. When you compared that, that was ridiculous because the traffic in Best Smart parking lot isn't just for Best Smart. It's for Starbucks, it's for urgent care, it's for a bank, it's for restaurants. So it's not just the supermarket traffic, it's all the other traffic.
Gene,
That
Gene, if you hear me, I don't know if you can hear me, but I tell you, if you ever go to Everfresh, which is a very small supermarket, the traffic.
Everfresh.
Yes. Everfresh is extremely small. I don't know how many square feet it is, but it's definitely not the size of the property that we're going to put a whole huge supermarket there. The amount of traffic
I'm just trying to correct Trustee
all right.
Sobel when he compared if we had a supermarket there, all the traffic that would be it would be terrible.
In general, we all know.
Smart lot, he wasn't comparing all the other.
Right, but in general, we know, and you know very well coming to our meetings, that commercial, especially supermarkets, create a lot more traffic than residential. That's what we were trying to convey. Anyone else has any other comments?
It generates multiples. I mean, in tens of multiples of trips.
Yeah,
per
I have a
day.
comment. I have a comment.
Who is you?
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Leslie Feldman, 23 West Terrace Road. This is going to be in people's backyards. I think it's going to be in number 20 West Terrace Road backyard. And I'm worried about noise, density, tall buildings, which interfere with the sight lines. In addition, I'm an author and I need quiet. I don't want anything that's going to be noisy. So these are very important considerations. A supermarket is quiet. It was there for years, Wallbaum's. So you can't just mine East Shore Road and build and build and build and build. There's also a quality of life for the people who live in the neighborhood. And that should be a very important consideration.
Yes, we are considering that as well. Any other comments?
Dan, did you have a comment? You had your hand raised?
It was already done already. Comment was made.
Okay. Any other comments? You can unmute yourself.
Who is iPhone that keeps on the chat? Could you identify yourself? Hello?
I don't think they would like to be identified, but that we can't really address questions that are coming from people we don't know who they are. But in general, I think there are certain concerns, and to obviously the most, well, I can't even say, I was going to say that the most quiet would be a park, but even a park is probably not quiet, as people go and they can they can make a lot of noise. A residential is definitely more quiet than commercial. It's a proven fact. People that are behind commercial areas always complain about trucks and deliveries and people coming in and driving in and out, honking. These things won't happen usually in residential places. I personally have not seen so much of traffic in Avalon and any real negative impact
Feel like it's a different room.
except the volume of the sheer volume of the building, which this place will not have as it's
You're
going
gonna
to.
call Philly tomorrow?
Can we, Brian, I don't know if I was talking. if you can just mute it.
I'm gonna mute
Just
He's
mute
a
everybody.
screenshot, son. And he's blowing you off.
Okay, Mayor, let's unmute yourself. And just again for the public, I'm going to put everybody on mute because we're getting a lot of background noise. So if you want to comment, please raise your hand on either your video, wave to me, or just raise your hand in the Zoom call and we'll get to you shortly. Thank you.
So all I wanted to say is that we are taking those things into consideration. We are going to do, obviously, when the presentation comes, we're going to look at all those issues that you have raised. The traffic study will be performed, the environmental study, the SEQA, everything is going to be done before it comes to the board and be presented to the public. So again, this is just to authorize me to sign a contract, not to build anything there as of yet. That will be a whole different meeting, possibly couple of meetings. So that said, if we have, I'm trying to see if there are any comments. But if anyone else has any comments, please.
There's a couple more. We got Amy. Amy, go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Amy from 22 West Terrace Road. I think you mentioned a little bit earlier on that there were other competitive bids, but beyond saying that there were bids, there was no other information. We would like to know as a community, I think, what the other options are. Obviously, aside from the monetary value, but what are the other options that would benefit the community that we can all get behind?
Well, other options, there was one other option, and that was also a senior housing, but it was an assisted living, which people really were not happy about when we discussed it in another place because they mentioned about the number of ambulances and the traffic that it can bring on, that they're elderly, that is going to put significant pressure on our hospitals and our first responders, and it would increase the traffic because of the people that are coming to work in and out in different shifts. So that was one of the reasons we said we would like to have a compromise of having a residential, which is not going to increase the traffic significantly, which is not going to have a significant noise produced. Also, the number of the students that will bring in will be minimum because of the age restriction. So because of those things, we believe that this project is going to work very well. Also, there are many people that would like to continue living in Great Neck and may not need their large homes anymore. And I think it would be nice for those people to stick around and continue supporting our local businesses.
And how do you guarantee that the people living there are 55 plus and older? And what if they
That
have
is
younger?
part of the contract. That's part of the contract. It's called independent living, and that's what we would like to see.
So younger families, they cannot move in with them, let's
No.
say during COVID times, right? And they have to move out of the city, they have to move in with their parents. They could potentially just move in with their parents, right?
Well, that you can do regardless. I mean, if you own a house or you're renting a place and someone comes in as a guest, I don't think, I do believe that in most places, when you rent a place, you have to say how many people are going to live there. And if you
You actually do.
Still
You actually
waiting.
do. I've
Hoping to
rented
say
out
something.
apartments. You do have to say how many people are gonna live there.
right,
That's
so
part of your lease.
right,
So I
if
guess
you-
my question is, if there's no way to stop other people moving
Oh,
in,
yes.
they would be taxing the school system, they would be
No,
taxing the roads and all of the other
you see, if
potentially
someone,
community.
I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
but
no. Having a guest is not having a resident that has
Right.
to be registered in the school district.
right,
But
if someone comes in for a month or two from Manhattan because of something happened, I don't think they're going to register the kids in the middle and then they start going. As you know, you have to have a residence in
Yankees
Great.
were losing.
A guest is not a resident.
I have to pay attention.
Can I say something?
Okay, thank you. Hold on one second. Hold on. I think Kate, I saw your hand up.
Okay.
Kate,
Oh, yes, please. Kate Goldberg, 26 West End Avenue. Can you hear me? Yeah.
yes.
I wanted to ask if Park District was offered this lot, because I know that they were looking for something, and I think that community could profit from Park District be able to purchase this lot more than from a private developer. So this is my
Can purchase it more, I'm sorry?
I think that our community could profit more if Park District would be able to buy this property. So my question is, if this property was offered for purchase to Park District?
They never asked to purchase it. And you
Yes,
have to
but you
realize-
could ask them. It is we know all that they were looking for new spaces and on Steamboat Road. I remember there was a try to buy the former tennis place that was later bought by Chabad and is built now
The size of this property is a lot bigger than the tennis court that they were thinking.
Yes,
about.
but I agree. Yes, sure. I don't know if they would be interested, but I think if the board would be thinking about a community, then the first call would be to call the Park District and ask them if they have interest in this purchase, because that is something that the whole community could profit from and participate, and that would enrich our community. That is something that would be.
So you don't believe that we have enough park and that we need to add to our parks?
They were looking into.
I'm asking you.
Yes, I'm answering your question.
No, I'm just asking you. You believe we need more parks?
I thought now about community center, but also yes, I know that the Memorial Field is overflowing. That is super full, and anytime we're trying to go there with my children, there is actually no space on the playground. So there are no.
Which one are we talking about? Which park?
Memorial Fields Park, Memorial Park on Fairview. So I just live nearby, and we often go there. And I know that it was not like that before. We played with my children soccer there, and now anytime we're going there, there are tens, maybe even hundreds of people playing soccer. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I see that it has become much more fuller than it was, say, 5 or 7 years before, as long as I live here. So it definitely.
Right. So I think a couple of things you should take into consideration. One, many people go to park because they can't do any activity indoor because of COVID. Many gyms are empty, so people actually go to the parks to get their exercise.
Sure, I understand. But
wait, let me just finish. Two, I think one of the things that we have to be looking at is our taxes that are constantly going up, that we need to make sure that our base is strong and that we're going to be able to continue afford living in Great Neck with ever rising taxes. When you go ahead and sell a property to an entity that will not pay taxes, like the park, you have to take that into consideration, that a significant amount of taxes that will be coming to Nassau County, to the school, and to the village will not be paid. So even though
And we have to pay, and
it's
we have to pay
always-
through our taxes for that property. through the
Sorry?
parking.
You are saying that you are selling this property because you are trying to lower the taxes?
I never said that. You have a tendency of always twisting what I say, but no, that's not what I said. I said what we do, this is going to strengthen our tax base and will help us and also the community in general with our tax base. What it also will do, it provides a different living facilities in Great Neck, which is going to benefit the community. And also to when you go and sell a property to the school or to the park, it will increase the taxes as they have to collect the money either via bond or by increasing the taxes to purchase that property. So if you are okay with that, meaning like you're okay with increasing the taxes and decreasing our tax base, then I appreciate your opinion. I don't know if I agree with it, but I do appreciate that opinion. But you have to also say that selling this property to the park or any other entity that is going to be tax exempt will increase our taxes because they have to pay for it.
The
So
Park District has funding and they were able.
the Park District doesn't have
I don't
funding.
know.
Kate, either you have to say the proper things. The Park District has funding because the taxes we pay. The Park District does not have independent wealth that they get because they sell shoes or they have other projects that bring in money. We are paying taxes toward our Park District, which we all cherish and we all love. But to take something off the tax roll, I mean, this
I understand what you are saying.
this land is already off the tax roll. To not put it on a tax roll and sell it to a property or to an entity that has to increase the taxes to buy it and not pay taxes on it does not make financial sense.
But that increases our house values and
Does it?
project decreases our house value.
Let me just a couple of things. When you want to buy a house, do you look at the taxes of that house? How much taxes that house pays?
Yes, but I also look how long it takes me to drive with my car to North Shore Hospital or to Northern Boulevard. And I live here and I used to drive this street, East Shore Road, to fence to my children's classes. And after the Avalon was opened and all these things were developed on the East Shore Road, I'm not able anymore to use street. And I'm driving now the Middle Neck Road instead, and it is also crowded. So when you build this, that will be even more crowded. Right. And this will increase my house value more than the taxes that may be a little higher because of this project.
Right. So I tell you, when people want to buy a house, they look at the taxes and how much their overall mortgage is going to be.
But not only. Otherwise, Great Neck would not be such a desirable place to live.
Right, but you have to also realize the reason Kings Point values have dropped significantly is because of the rising tax.
Maybe not only because of that.
Well, it's mainly because of that. If you speak to the proper people, that's what they tell you. But regardless, I do want to thank you for your comments because obviously you are more interested in having a park. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but that's a decision that we'll make when they come with the presentation.
I was not talking about the park. I was talking about community center. That was something in discussion.
Or a community center, either way.
But I also wanted, okay, thank you. Can I mention two other points that I made? So the traffic on East Shore Road was not mentioned, and I want to stress that this project has 160 parking places, and it needs to have even more. It has to have 200 something. So these are 200 something cars. that will increase. Yes, that will be additionally on the East Shore Road. So, and I want to remind.
No, I want to ask you again, Kate.
I am making comments. Can I make my comments?
You made your comment.
Spoke. So.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
then we have 8 traffic lights on a 1.5 mile of East Shore Road. And this is a very, very jammed place. And these traffic lights are gridlocking each other. And I think even if you bring this project, then first of all, you have to solve this problem before adding additional problems. So, and then I wanted to, the last thing I wanted to say is that this sale is subject to this particular project. So that's why I think you cannot stop the residents from discussing this particular project. Because if you're saying, no, we're discussing on the sale, that is not true. We discuss the sale and this project. And I think the residents have to have right to discuss it. Thank you very much. I'm finished.
Okay. Any other comments?
And Nina, you had a comment, Nina?
Unbelievable. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Nina Gordon, 200 South Middle Neck Road. And I'm speaking as a 60-year resident of Great Neck, although I'm not a resident of the village. And I'm concerned about the quality of life on East Shore Road. And the traffic on East Shore Road. And I also have 20 or 30 years experience in independent living, assisted living, and nursing homes. And I just want to comment that the term independent living is a misnomer because as people age, they are less independent. And a building such as this is going to be a drain on the ambulances. You could take a look at North Shore Towers, which is not advertised as 55 plus, but has a lot of elderly residents. My son is a volunteer firefighter. He calls that the nursing home because they're there all the time. I just feel like, you know, the idea of independent living is going to, whether people have private aides helping them, living with them, it's going to bring increased traffic. And whatever Mr. Bloom was saying about a grocery or it sounds like more like a canteen that they're going to have a little place to buy things. The fact is most people that move into these places are not cooking for themselves. Many of these places have a dining room or a clubhouse, and it's not, it just becomes a drain on the community. I think my opinion is it is going to drain services and impact the traffic negatively. It's not going to provide so many benefits. And thank you for listening to my comments. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Cohen.
Oh,
Is that you?
wow.
Dr. Cohen?
Hi, I would like to know if it would have access.
Yes, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Dr. Cohen, its address is 250 Shoreward Drive.
Thank you.
Live in a village nearby.
Okay, go ahead.
He's in the area, and I was wondering if this if it will have access to if there will be more than one access. Is it just East Shore Road, or will it also have access? You were mentioning that there's access through a pool property off Vista Hill. Is it going to have a second access way on Vista or West Terrace? Someone was mentioning something about that.
It's only access through East Shore Road.
Is there a way to have multiple accesses to access the property through other means so that we could lessen the traffic on East Shore?
No.
No.
The property is landlocked by private homes on Vista Hill and by the steep incline going up to West Terrace.
Okay. All right.
Private homes
Thank
up
you.
there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Looks like we have one more comment. Go ahead. Andrea Katz, like the name. Oh, wait, you muted yourself. Hold on.
Andrea Katz,
There we go.
21 West Terrace Road.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to bring up a general issue because I'm listening to this and this, of course, living on West Terrace, I'm very concerned about this. But, you know, Mayor, you had discussed, you know, selling taxable properties and having taxable projects. And I'm not disagreeing with you or agreeing with you, but I recall last year or the year before talking about a cultural center, yet another thing that's not going to be taxed. And I don't want to get it. I think we have to have, as a village, a very solid idea of where we're going and what we're doing, because when it benefits some people, it's okay if it's not a taxable property. And when it benefits other people, it has to be something we'll get a tax benefit. And I agree with you. We want to get some tax benefit, but we're not very consistent in this village. I have to say, let me finish,
No, but
please. I want to
selling the property.
Excuse me, I want to finish. My family has owned this property since 1958. We've been here a long time. And I have to tell you, in the past several years, I'm embarrassed to live in this village. This village, there's not enough transparency. You may not be aware of this, Mayor, or you may be. Many people in this community believe that you maybe have relationships with these developers and stuff like that. There's not a lot of transparency. So I think it's going to be to everybody's benefit to put everything out on the table. We do need to do some development that's sensible and that would benefit the residents. But, you know, I do think that things feel shady, whether they are or not. Many of the residents feel that a lot of the stuff here is shady. And I think that's a problem. It's a problem in how you and the board represent yourself. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, but I'm just telling you the vibe is that a lot of people feel this way. You need to know that.
Well, I thank you for bringing it up to my attention. First of all, for the record, I have no relationship with any of the developers or any development, financially, emotionally, or any other way. I do believe that my board and I would like to do the right thing. We're doing our best to do the right thing for the people and the community in the village of Great Neck. And we'll try to help out with the surrounding villages as well, as we are the downtown of few villages that are surrounding us. That said, you know, if there are projects, first of all, my question to you was, did we sell a property, a village's property, to a cultural center or anything
I'm not talking about, I'm just saying, we're not consistent.
How am I not consistent?
What I'm saying is,
You raised the question, Ms.
let me finish. What I'm saying is, it's not necessarily just our property. Sometimes we're approving many things that are not taxable. And then we're saying, no, we want taxable. I think we just have to have a concept. We have to have a better cohesive concept of what we want to do as a village. And I think we take one project at a time instead of having a broader concept of what we want to do.
Okay. So, Ms. Katz, so a couple of things, and I don't know if I can answer all your questions or address all your concerns. In any community, you have different needs and different segments with different needs. Each community or each part of the community has certain needs. As you saw, Ms. Goldberg mentioned about more parks. We had cultural centers that came up a couple of years ago because there was a community that needed to enhance the cultural centers as they needed, or they seemed that it was needed for them. This, again, I can't really tell you that it's this or that. What we are doing, the concept is it's this and that and others. to have, you don't go to a village or a town or a city that has only apartment buildings. You have apartment buildings, you have movie theaters, you have art centers, you have synagogues, you have churches, you have
And
parks,
mosques.
you have libraries, right? So we have many different needs in order to be a community. Now, if this is coming up, and for a developer to buy it, I don't know why you would compare it with someone that bought, or a community that bought a property to make it into a community center that would be tax exempt. I have no control of something becoming tax exempt. I don't ask them for it to be, well, let me finish, please. I don't ask them to make it tax exempt. But when they come and they have the right, according to the New York, not according only to the New York State, according to the federal law, that they can take something off the taxes, does it make me happy? Not as the mayor. I'll be very frank with you. I don't like anything going off the tax roll.
Right.
But when I have an opportunity to bring in tax revenue, so it is not going to negatively impact the taxpayers in Village of Great Neck, that's my fiduciary responsibility to look into it. Now, you have not looked at the project yet. You may like it, you may dislike it. And if you dislike it, and enough people dislike it, and it's not going to be a sale, then there's no sale. But to just say, I don't like the idea before you even know what the idea is, I don't think it's a fair deal. That's all I'm saying. I would like, again, tonight's meeting is not at all about the project. It's about the sale of the property. Now, if whoever buys this property is not able to develop it to what they want to, the sale is null, as they mentioned, both my attorney as well as the purchaser's attorney. I don't have an issue. And this is not being shady. This has been on the agenda for over 3 weeks. Everybody knows about it. And I'm sure it's going to be on the news. And when it becomes anything, I don't know why I would take offense into it, that my board is doing something that is shady. How would you do it?
I'm not saying you are. I'm
No, you
saying
did. You
people.
just did.
No, you didn't. Then you didn't listen to what I said. I said you need to know that people think that. I didn't say you are
don't like
doing
a lot
that.
of things I do, but you're right. But I'm sure people think a lot of things about me, but it's not factual. What is it that we have done that is shady? To have this on the agenda, not the Thursday before, which we usually put it on. It's been on from 3 Thursdays ago. So there's nothing shady. And when it comes to the project, the due diligence will be done. The notes and everything will be sent to the neighborhood, and everybody's going to come in. And the way we listen to 777, we're going to listen to this. You can't, how can you say things are shady when we have, and again, I don't want to say we've dragged it, but we have listened to the neighborhood to Gotay for a long time now, for a very long time. And we're still going to listen to them. For someone to say that we are have some kind of a deal with the developer.
Did I say that? I did not say that.
Well,
I said
someone else said it. Someone else said it.
I did not say that. What I said is that people believe that you know these people, you're friends with these people. I'm just telling you what I hear.
But I also know you. What does that mean?
Well, that's not proper if that's true.
Can I jump in with a different point completely? I think we've exhausted this business about being shady. I've been waiting since 7:30.
Yeah, okay, wait your turn. When you're saying that I know them, of course I know them. I live in the village for the past 25 years. I've been a mayor for the past 5 years. How do you want me to not know them? They live here. So many of them live here. A lot of the people that are working and want to build here, they live here. How can I not know that? I don't live in a cave. So of course I know them. Do I have a business relationship with them? Absolutely
didn't
not.
say that.
Well, I'm just saying it. I want it to be public. I have no gain whatsoever except the benefit of the community. And if that is not clear, I'll do whatever it takes for it to become clear. But my job and my board is to protect the financial aspect of the community, of the village, and also bring in what best provides for the community. That's all we're trying to do. Now, when people start saying that it's shady, that it's not right, all that I disagree with and I take offense to it. Amy?
Yes, hi, thanks. I just wanted to talk
Just
about
introduce yourself for the record.
Amy Glass, 86 Hampshire Road. I just wanted to get back to the issues of traffic on East Shore Road, which we all know is a nightmare. Now, when you hire someone to do a traffic study related to a new building going up, probably they mostly take into account only the new residents of that building and the cars coming along. This approach is totally unsatisfactory. We need to take into account all of the new building going up on our peninsula, including but not limited to the many, many new apartments on Middle Neck Road near Clover Drive, the probable new apartments at Academy Gardens site, the new multi-story building on Goodtile Road, and the new multi-story building going up in Great Neck Plaza where the old theater used to be. And there'll probably be another one going up at the corner of Hicks and Middle Neck Road. The point here is that we're adding hundreds and hundreds of extra residents to a small peninsula. We only have one exit from this peninsula. Unlike many other towns in this country, we can only go south. This puts a tremendous stress on our three small southbound routes. It becomes dangerous to a point where, as other people have mentioned, we may not even be able to get ambulances and fire trucks back and forth when we need them, aside from the fact that it's just incredibly inconvenient. And I do feel that eventually this will bring down our property values because people who are coming to look at houses will say, oh my God, I can't even get in or out of Great Neck anymore. We need to take the big picture into account. You keep giving us building after building where the traffic study says no impact, no impact. They're not looking, I'm sure, at the whole picture, but someone has to, and that needs to be done by our mayor and our board of trustees. The other point is that these new buildings, as the new buildings in Great Neck Plaza as well, impact everyone on this peninsula, not just the village of Great Neck or Great Neck Plaza. Mostly, they actually negatively impact the residents of Kings Point because they're the furthest north and have the furthest distance to travel to leave our peninsula and do their errands and their shopping or whatever it is they have to do. Yet they don't get a say in all these decisions. And I just feel sort of structurally, organizationally, there's something very flawed about the system that we have. We needed possibly to hear more about and have an impact to say, well, what's going on in Great Neck Plaza and how many hundreds of new apartments are they putting up there? They need to say to us, well, wait a minute, you're impacting our lives negatively. And I just think a different method of communication needs to take place. But the most important part is about the traffic studies. We can't trust them at all the way they're done now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Any other comments? Brian, you see anyone else?
I don't see anybody else. Any last call for comments? I don't see any, Mayor.
All right. Again, I'm going to reiterate that this is just to authorize me to sign a contract. It's not for the project, but it's for the sale. The property, when it comes to the development, it will have the full scope done. The traffic studies and environmental studies all be done at that time. So that said, Peter, I will just ask you to go ahead with this. I think you're muted.
Oh, Peter, you gotta unmute yourself.
How is that? Am I back?
Now you're okay.
It's actually going to be two resolutions. The first will be to declare that the execution of the purchase and sale agreement is an unlisted action for CEQA with a negative declaration, meaning no material adverse consequences on that standalone action of signing the purchase and sale agreement. Is there a resolution to that effect?
Second.
And is there any negative vote or abstention? Hearing none, unanimous. The second resolution is to declare the property surplus and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement in substantially the form that is now on file with the village clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And is there any negative vote or abstention? Then unanimous. Mayor, both motions pass unanimously.
Thank you, Peter. I just want to assure the community on West Shore Road, no, I'm sorry, not West Shore Road, West Terrace, that when the project comes to the floor to be discussed, you will be all heard. You can have your comments, you can have your suggestions, you can even have your suggestions now of what you think should happen. And you can forward it to Brian, and Brian will make sure that it gets to me. But I think we have some time for that to happen, so please, if you want to make any comments or suggestions like Ken Lee did, you may certainly do so. Okay, next.
So the last item on the agenda is resolution to accept a street on the site of Old Mill 2. Peter, again, if you would like to discuss, please.
Very good. Mayor, there are again a number of documents before you. This contemplates that the developer, whose attorney, again, Mr. Bloom, is present and I believe will briefly address the board. But in short, there is development at the Old Mill area, which includes prior approvals that he has received to construct a 26-foot paved roadway. But at the width of 26 feet, there would be two things. First, that would be a private roadway, and secondly, that parking would not be authorized in that area. This resolution contemplates that this board believes that that roadway would be well suited to being in the village roadway system, but at a width of 28 feet, which would allow for parking on one side. Accordingly, this contemplates that the developer will continue to build, but not completely finish the construction of the 26-foot width, which is the approval he has been given thus far, and more than one village is involved in this. Great Neck Estates is involved as well as Great Neck, but that having built it to 90–95%, the village will then accept dedication of that roadway and finish the construction at 28 feet wide, incorporating it into the village roadway system and allowing for parking on one side of the street, since the village of Great Neck would not be bound to the same restrictions as the private developer received from Great Neck Estates and other boards. So before you would be a resolution declaring the execution of an agreement to accept the roadway dedication to be an unclassified action with a no adverse environmental impact, as well as a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with the developer, which is Old Mill 2 LLC. And under that agreement, the developer would construct the roadway as I've just described, subject to various conditions, including supervision by the village engineer and making sure that it's constructed according to village specifications, but ultimately with the idea in mind that the predominantly completed roadway would be then dedicated to the village. The village would accept it into the village roadway system, but finish it at 28 feet wide with parking on one side of the street. The specifications and the obligations of the parties are set forth in the agreement. They include a $50,000 payment to the village for reimbursement of various village costs involved in this. They include another $100,000 in escrowed funds for the reimbursement of the actual widening of the roadway from 26 to 28 feet. They include an obligation for a performance bond, the exact amount of which has not yet been filled in because we're awaiting certain material from analysis on what's called a DPW estimate sheet in order to determine the proper amount of the performance bond. But all of those conditions are spelled out in the actual agreement. Mr. Bloom, would you care to elaborate on what I've said? Mr. Bloom?
Let's see.
Peter, I have a question.
Very briefly, Peter, because I think considering the hour of the day, you've summed up the situation appropriately. We are obligated pursuant to various approvals that have been granted to build a roadway of 26 feet. The roadway was intended initially to be a private right-of-way, as you indicated. There are two villages involved in this. Part of that roadway is in the village of Great Neck Estates. Great Neck Estates was very insistent that we in fact widen the roadway in their portion of the development, which is not under the jurisdiction of the village of Great Neck, because they felt that there was parking necessary to be on street that would not have a negative effect upon Clover Drive, which is the street it leads into. We did approach the village at one point and asked the village whether or not it would be in the best interest of the village and the applicant themselves, the developer, for the village to accept the dedication of the roadway. The village was very insistent that one, we were obligated to build a roadway of only 26 feet, and that is exactly what we're going to do. And two, that the village would not contemplate or accept dedication of the roadway until one, the 26-foot roadway had been substantially completed, and the village would require it to be larger, which will be undertaken by the village, but at the expense of the applicant. So we would ask the board to adopt this resolution, and I thank you.
Yes, and Mayor, I did leave out one important term in the agreement. It also includes what's referred to as a dedication payment. In other words, since the village, once it accepts the roadway into the village roadway system, the village will be responsible for the maintenance of that roadway. The developer is making a payment of $200,000 to the village for the purpose of the village maintaining the roadway for what we deem to be a reasonable period of time. Obviously, ultimately, we will have obligations that extend far into the future, but it is common to estimate a period of on the order of 10 years of maintenance costs and allocate them to the developer. And in this particular case, that sum has been concluded to be $200,000.
Okay. Any comments from the board, member of the board?
Yeah, I have one question with regard to page 2 of the resolution. I don't know if it's addressed to Peter or Paul. Where you have the first dark shaded bullet, there is then the second white bullet below that, where it says there shall be one fire hydrant along the private street. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Which shall be located not further than 100 feet and not closer than 50 feet from the entrance of the cul-de-sac, where such minimum distance shall be 4 feet. I don't understand that. What that meant, where such minimum distance shall be 4 feet.
I believe that this came straight out of the resolution, didn't it, Peter?
Yes, it did. I think we copied this out of the Great Neck Estates resolution, but that was one of the conditions they imposed. Not further than 100 feet, not closer than 50. I will double check the Great Neck Estates resolution to make sure that it was copied correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments?
Where is this leading into from the drive?
Couldn't
Say
hear
again?
that, I'm sorry.
Where is it leading from Clover Drive? And what's the, is there going to be a property built there? Is that what it's
Yeah,
for?
there's going to be 9 houses that are going to be, I believe 9, that are going to be built on that. And that's going to be a roadway to those 9 houses.
And is it in those 9 houses in our village or Great Neck Estates?
Yeah. No, those 9 houses are in village. The entrance is through Great Neck Estates to our village. So the road is ours, the entrance is through Great Neck Estates.
Okay.
So it's off of Clover Drive, the entry point?
Right.
Have they started anything yet?
Say again?
Have they started anything yet?
I don't, Steve?
Yes.
No, Steve Harmon.
I can answer that. No, nothing has been started at this point.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, hearing no more comments, Peter?
Yes, is there a resolution? Bear with me, let me open up that document again. Is there a resolution in connection with CEQA declaring this an unlisted action with a negative declaration? Is there a motion?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
And any dissension, any negative vote or abstention? And hearing none, it's unanimous that the execution of the agreement is deemed to be a unclassified action with a negative declaration. And is there a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement of roadway dedication as presented before you? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
And is there any negative vote or abstention? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and everybody sleep well this evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're done with all the agenda. That was a hefty agenda.
Yeah. The only other item we have, Mayor, is public comments.
Okay, public comments. Anybody left in the public to comment? Yes.
Yeah, there's members of the public left. Anybody, just please unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record, and make your comments, please. Anybody?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Hello, Brian?
Hold on, here's one.
Oh,
Here's Jean, hi.
oh, you got me. Okay. Public comment, Jean Pierce. I want to bring attention to the village. I'd like to ask, why are we allowing so many of these so-called summer camps in people's private homes where they use their backyards or sometimes their front yards, which you have one on Baker Hill? These camps, really, with our virus going around, they are supposed to be registered. They're supposed to be with the health board. The health board is supposed to come and check on the conditions of the house, how many children there are. You've got like 15 to 25 children playing together. I don't know the requirements for masks for them, but they are regulated by the health department, and I don't think that's happening. So with our numbers going up, and I know, Mayor Brawl, you don't agree with me that our numbers are going up.
Well, I didn't say that. I agree with you that numbers are going up. I just don't believe the numbers that you
You didn't agree
mentioned.
with me when I met with you.
No.
You added another part of Great Neck into our village, but I'm saying our village.
I added, Jean?
I won't go in.
added? No,
You
what
showed-
I
you
mentioned
showed
was
me on
that
the map
Newsday.
on your phone, but we
Well,
won't go into that because
No,
it's too late.
you cannot do that, Jean. not with me.
Why not?
When you mention something, you have to own up to it. So what
Okay.
happened,
When I met you on Middle Neck Road.
right, so I tell you what happened.
outside-
I exactly tell you what happened. You told me the numbers and I disagreed with your numbers because, as I showed you, the numbers are not Village of Great Neck alone. There are at that time 48 patients or 48 positive people that came from the south side of our peninsula. Unfortunately, Nassau County writes Village of Great Neck as Great Neck, and that unincorporated area also as Great Neck. And Newsday adds these two Great Necks and make one Great Neck. But that is
Whatever
not
it
the
is,
Village
from
of Great
that
Neck, and
point
that's what I showed
on,
you.
our numbers have gone up each
but
week.
you're-
And
well-
all I'm saying, forget about that. I'm saying the
Oh, that's what the
can,
issue.
you
Okay.
have to step in and you have to make sure they're registered with the county and that there's health checks done at the properties. You
Okay.
have to think of the children. And with so many children bunched together and with this virus still going around, you have to take charge of it. There's no reason why you shouldn't.
Okay, I agree.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I think everybody went home.
I see still people on. Okay, very good. Hearing none. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for everybody's comments. I promise that we are taking every comment seriously. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.